All right, Wayne Jetski, almost viral. I'm sweaty, moved around, a lot of cameras, a lot of lighting, but I'm here with Drama Relax,
Yes,
Johnny
sir.
Drama.
Yes, sir.
Pride of Long Island. How we doing?
Yes, sir. Happy to be back for my second time.
Second time, the re-up.
The re-up, I feel like the first time was kind of more of a practice for this moment, so.
Yeah. First time was 2019. It was under a different name. It was 808 Smoke Breaks, me and Big Ev. Shout out Big Ev.
That's right. When the first time was right before I actually dropped the song with Jeremih, so that was a big moment at that time period where my life was moving very fast.
Yes.
And you know, looking back at it, I don't know how fully in the moment I was, whereas now I'm a lot more, you know, in the moment. So.
Yeah, you were, I think, flying out to LA a lot.
Yep.
You were spending your time on both coasts. You were making music. You were, you know, doing the full-time rapper thing. Talk about a little bit what that moment was like. What was it like in that moment when you were, you know, making these crazy moves? What was it like making that song with Jeremih?
Well, at that time, it was very like I said, it was hard to be in the moment because I was flying back and forth to LA every other week. I was going on tour, and throughout that whole time period, at the end of the day, I wanted to actually be home. I wanted to be in Long Island, because I've always stressed that my whole origin of my musical career was based out of being in Long Island, and my sound was Long Island. And the one thing that I take away from going back and forth to LA was that I realized that when I was home, I was able to actually create the best music that I could make. The Jeremih song, for example, I made that in my bedroom, as I've explained many times.
Yep.
The Tory Lanez song, I made that in my bedroom in Long Island. Mm-hmm. So all the music that anybody's ever heard was actually based out of my bedroom in Long Island. It wasn't, I'm in some studio in LA. It was all as organic as it was before the label, and it's the same to this day because that's just what works. So that's what that's how I rather create the music. I'm
glad you just brought that up. Glad you brought up the Long Island thing because I want to take it back to that. I want to, you know, we did the interview in 2019, and I think we touched on you starting making music, your come up, but I think we kind of were talking about more of what was going on. I kind of want this to be more of an entire, you know, encapsulation of how you started, how you got to the point where you are now. Obviously started on Long Island. Saj is here with us. Saj, another Long Island guy. Jason, are you from Long Island?
No, I'm originally from upstate New York.
Make sure you're talking to that mic.
Originally from upstate New York.
Upstate New York, okay.
But lived in New York City since I was probably like 16 years old. Went to high school down here.
Okay, great. Yeah. So, you know, East Coast type shit. But, you know, three of us at least, you know, and a lot of guys behind the camera, Long Island guys, South Shore, Suffolk County. You're from Bayshore. Me and Saj technically live in Bayshore. Went to ISOP High School. You went to Bayshore High School. Talk a little bit about growing up in Bayshore, growing up, you know, on the South Shore, and how you got into music.
So, you know, again, as I've mentioned before, the biggest plus in my musical career was the fact that my high school, Bayshore High School, had a recording studio in it.
Yeah.
It allowed me to learn how to record music. I originally started making beats. There's a lot of people that...
Sam is Beats, right?
There's a lot of people to this day that still, I think, don't even make the connection of the fact that Sam is Beats was me.
Yeah.
But I originally started with the beats, and I saw very quick success with the beats because I had a school program that taught me how to make the beats. So it allowed me to develop myself in a forced environment because I had class, so I had to go. Mm-hmm. Now, the difference between making the beats and making the music was making the beats was part of almost education in a sense because I had the music theory class. This is what I had to do. This was second period, for example. Making the music was I'm skipping class. I'm staying after school. I'm doing it kind of, you know, against people. I was doing it where people thought maybe you shouldn't be doing that. I'm skipping class. I'm not doing other things I should be doing. I was substituting recording for
homework
and for class, which I think brought a lot of excitement to me. Whereas the beats, even though I was having success at the time, didn't give me the thrill of having some sort of desire to prove people wrong. Okay. Because, you know, with the beats, there's not much of a pressure on you to overcome something at that time. Because at that time, it was just like, you know, you upload beats to YouTube. That's what I was doing. There was never like a thought of, let me get an artist, I'm like this specific artist, let me work with this. It was just like, let me lease this beat for $25. And
Were people buying your beats?
people were buying my beats.
Have you heard his beats? In the mic.
No, but you've played me a couple songs like from probably 2011, maybe. The like artists that rapped on. I think Don Toliver rapped on one of your beats, right?
Wait,
Way
what?
back in the day.
Yeah, so
Oh, I didn't know this. I talk about that.
yeah, actually not too long
This is a
ago.
good clip.
Not too long
There we
ago,
go.
somebody was it you that sent it to me?
No.
Somebody sent me their song, and it was featuring Don Toliver at the time. And it was
What year
on-
is this? 2011?
I don't even know, man. And you know, my whole career has been working with artists unintentionally that become superstars. So this is an example. I was at the time making a lot of Houston type beats.
Okay.
You know, because you know I was making a lot of Drake type.
That was
beats.
Houston, Atlanta, Vegas.
Houston,
era,
Atlanta,
probably.
Vegas, you know, a lot of Houston type sample beats like that, down south type of sample, slow shit, ride around type of slow shit. And you know, that's probably what drew Don Toliver to getting on one of the songs. But at that time, you know, a lot of these people, somebody recently too, Coi Leray, for example. Coi Leray was hitting me up back in like 2016, 2017, trying to go on tour with me, which I wasn't even going on tour at the time. I would just post performance pictures and be like, yo, I'm going on tour this spring, this summer.
Just making it up?
Yeah, just, you know, fabricating it. But the thing is that my whole career has been these unintentional moments with artists who eventually blew the fuck up.
Kind of like falling upwards. Like you just kind of
Yeah.
happened to be in the right place, right time type shit.
Blew up to a point where it's just like, yo, this person's a superstar. And I was just like, yeah, well, I need $100 for a feature. And they were like, nah, you don't understand. Coi Leray's gonna pop. And I was just like, I don't know.
There was a Little Skies feature, right?
Yeah, Little Skies, you know, like, you know, Little Skies, at that time, me and him made a song together, and he was trying to actually come to me and shoot a music video.
So this is our man. He's doing his job.
All right, man.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. He was trying to come out to me and shoot a music video. And, you know, I was always very skeptical about people kind of pulling up on me to work, because there's so many times where people were like, yo, let's get in the studio and make a song, let's do this and that, and I was always like, no, you know, I just make my music out of my bedroom.
Yeah. Were you at all nervous to pull up? Was it like a subconscious thing? Like you don't know if you'll be able to perform in a studio, or you were just like, nah, fuck it, I do what I do, and no one else is gonna interrupt my creative process.
I think it was just the fact that I wasn't sitting there saying this guy's about to be Lil Skies.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know, why even bother doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the thing is like I could sit back and regret certain decisions, but you know, even with A&R people and label people that I've seen as my journey has you know gone on, nobody knows what's gonna happen,
You can never know.
and
Hindsight's 20/20 also.
it's very rare for you to hear somebody and to be confident that that person's gonna reach a level that's unbelievable.
True.
And you know, obviously Lil Skies is a very talented artist and was a great guy and always showed me a lot of love, but you know, I wasn't sitting there saying this guy's about to have a top 10 Billboard hit, because I didn't hear that music. I didn't hear what he was doing. And then actually 2 or 3 years after that, I went and did a show in the Bay Area in California, opening for Lil Skies. And I remember standing in like the balcony after I opened for him with, you know, me and my friends at the time that I was coming up with. And we were sitting there as Lil Skies did a sold out show. And, you know, we were talking about the fact that, man, this is crazy. Like, this guy was hitting you up a year ago to do a feature for $500, and now
Yeah.
he's getting paid like 20 racks to perform. So, you know, I've had a lot of those moments.
Yeah, but I think you can, like you said, you can never really tell or predict what's going to happen. Like, I think I've told you this story. I've definitely told Sadger's story. There was a time in 2019 when Jack Harlow came through here, and no one wanted to give him the time of day. No one wanted to give him an interview. I actually, on the old podcast me and Ev had, I was supposed to interview him, and he showed up, I think, a couple, maybe an hour late, and then I had to go shoot something else. I had to go shoot This, you know who Glenny Balls is? You ever see him? I had to go film a video.
Shout out to Glenny Balls.
With Glenny Balls getting a haircut at Willie Cologne's house. Willie Cologne used to play offensive line for the Jets and Steelers. Big black dude from the Bronx, and he was giving Glenny Balls like a traditional like black haircut, like edge him up and stuff. It was a very funny video, but I blew, and it turned out being funny, but I kind of should have stayed there and been like, I'm gonna blow off this like stupid one-off video to get Jack Harlow's like first real sit-down interview, and then 4 months later he drops What's Poppin' and he's out of here. And then anytime Barstool's try to reach out to him, I'm pretty sure he puts the middle finger up to him, and not as he should, but like if someone writes you off, once you're up, you're gonna be like, all right, whatever. Not to say that's what happened with you, but you can never predict those things. I want to circle back a little bit to high school. So you're starting to make beats. When do you start rapping, and when do you put out your first song?
So I start rapping because there was a lot of other rappers at the time that were going to Bayshore High School. One of those guys was my friend Gabe, who goes by Classic.
Yeah, I think I've met Gabe.
You met Gabe. Everybody knows Gabe, obviously. He's a Bayshore
Staple.
Staple.
Yeah,
that's a good way to put it. And he kind of just, he's my, he's like a big bro to me. Somebody that kind of took me under his wing at the time and was like, it was all about rapping, punchline rapping, lyrical rapping.
Yeah.
And at the time, in order to get into the studio, you had to compete with these guys. You had to be on that type of level with rapping.
It wasn't like you could book studio time for the school, like through the school, and you'd be able to have like 30 minutes or an hour.
How it worked was you could book a studio time, but the recording booth was so like.
Yeah, what was the setup like? What was a garage band? You had like a stick mic, or was it like a legit booth?
Yeah, it was all garage band. It was so like detached from what it was supposed to be, because it's like if you book a studio time and you're not nice, somebody's coming in and taking your spot.
So it wasn't like you had the set hour. If you walked in and you spit some like shitty bars, they're like, all right, get the fuck out.
Because here's how it is. It's not like you're going to
and there's also probably the hierarchy of like seniors trying to get in,
of
freshmen.
Course.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going to a studio and you're like, oh, I'm going to take the 9:30 slot.
Yeah.
It's like, the studio closes at 3. So there's one spot.
Yeah.
So
I wish we had this at fucking Islip.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, it's like, think about the artists that maybe would have arose at that time if all these high schools had
studios. Yeah, really crazy.
I was able to put out music because of that fact, but what I had to do was compete with 2 or 3 guys in order to keep my session to a point where somebody's not walking in and telling me to leave because they want to do it.
Yeah, and so you're saying they were all doing punchline bar shit.
Yeah, and so was I.
Okay, so you were doing that.
So was I. I remember in like 2012, what changed for me was actually my girlfriend at the time was like, I want you to I want you to like
make me a song,
fuck with me to some Chief Keef. And I was like,
no way.
I was like, what are you talking about? and I remember her telling me this. I'm walking home from work. I was working as like
Bitches love drama.
Yeah.
So shit like that.
I was like, I was like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, don't mention that name to me.
Yeah.
And I'm walking home from work. I was some bar back or something at the time. And I'm listening to like Logic rapping in the headphones. And I'm like, Jesus, what the hell is wrong with this girl? She wants me to hang out with her and listen to Chief Keef. And that's slowly started for me to be like, okay, this new genre of music of
the drill trap shit
of just making fly shit and being fly
and not trying to be the best rapper.
Yeah, it's I don't have to go in there and start rapping the best bars.
Mm-hmm.
Let me try to make a fresh song.
Yeah.
And that's where things started changing. And Cosmo, who's here, can attest to the fact that there was another rapper at the time, Maui Mac,
shout out Maui,
who's killing shit right now, who I think saw me make this transition and was the first person to come into the picture of saying, of kind of supporting that style of making music.
Yeah.
Let's make a hook. Let's do a song together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't even like these other guys was like, yo, let's just beat the other guy on the song. Let's just out rap the other guy.
It's like battle rap shit almost.
Me and Mac were like, yo, let's make some fly shit together. It's not like you're better than me or whatever. It was just like, yo, let's just make some fresh shit together.
Yeah.
And you know, he was somebody that stood beside me in making this kind of new wave of music at the time.
Okay.
And we were able to transition away from this rapping style to making, you know, more of this outrageous trap type of music at the time, you know, where it was just like I'm water whipping, I'm saying these songs, you know, this was a song that was big for me that everybody in my town was like, who does he think he is? What, he's water whipping the kids? And no, he's not doing that. But there was a group of people that were like, yo, the beat's hard, the melody's hard.
And the internet probably didn't, like, when you put it on the internet, people were like, this is fire. They didn't know you.
And at the time, you post something on Twitter and you get a couple of reposts, that shit's going off.
Yeah.
So once I started realizing that, it's like, yo, you don't have to be so like
lyrical
with
miracle.
everything. I was able to start.
Were you using like auto-tune and shit like that?
I started using auto-tune and I was able to start separating myself from what I saw was around me.
What was the project then? Been in the Trap? I think there's something like that, right?
Well, that's down the line.
That's down the line. Okay.
I dropped this mixtape called Diamonds and Lemonade. Who I'm gonna drop this name. This guy Dan Vadney, who Jason somehow knows. This guy Dan Vadney was.
Are these lights going down right now? It kind of feels like they are.
Do we have to make an adjustment?
We might have to make a little bit of an adjustment. What's going on? I feel like they're turning off.
They are. They're certainly turning off.
All right, we're gonna hold on one second.
All right.
Hold that thought. You ready?
Okay.
All right, continue.
All right. So this guy Dan Vadney at the time, when I dropped a mixtape called Diamonds and Lemonade, he actually gave me the name to name it Diamonds and Lemonade, and actually sent me the cover artwork for the mixtape. I previously dropped a mixtape called Smoke Music, which
What year is this?
this is 2011.
Okay.
Then I dropped Diamonds and Lemonade, which was like my follow-up to Smoke Music. And once I dropped Diamonds and Lemonade, this is what changed. What changed was my circle, my friend group. You know, when you're in high school, you got a friend group. You know, people know you in high school.
Absolutely.
Now are saying, yo, play whatever off of the song. Once that happened, that's when I got the first taste of confidence of saying, let me keep going, because people are trying to play the song at a
Gravitating towards
party,
it.
at a senior party. So where this guy Dan Vadney comes in is, you know, the story is just like crazy because there's this other guy who I don't even remember his name, but he was trying to sign me. He was some Atlanta manager
When you were in high school?
when I was in high school.
And you're putting this all out on SoundCloud and YouTube.
I'm putting it out on Dat Piff.
Damn, that's a throwback. Shout out Dat Piff. Timmy's going crazy in the back.
I'm putting it out on Dat Piff. And me and my friend Mike were trying to get a Hot New Hip Hop Connect at that time.
This is junior year, senior year of high school?
This is like first year of college.
Oh, first year of college. Okay.
I got the music out, and we're trying to figure out how to get to Hot New Hip Hop. What wound up happening was Mike, who was helping me out, my friend Mike, submitted this song called No I Ball to Hot New Hip Hop, and Hot New Hip Hop actually posted it as, you know, Artist of the Week.
Oh, sick.
At that time, when that happened, this was about 2014 now, so we're skipping to 2014 because I went away to college and shit was slow for a second, and then I said to myself, I'm gonna drop out of college. I went to Delhi for a semester, and I was rapping. I was like, I got to keep rapping, so I'm gonna rap into the
iPhone headphones.
the iPhone headphones, and I was like, yo, this is hard. I'm rapping into the iPhone headphones, and I'm still walking to class listening to that song that I made off of the iPhone headphones, and I'm playing it for like the 3 dorm rooms around me, and I was like, I gotta get out of here and I gotta go home and keep making music, because here I'm not gonna be able to make music because I can't, you know. Making music at that time was
not as accessible as it is now. There was no band labs. Yeah.
You were an outcast. It wasn't. It was like, this is insane. What do you think?
I remember I saw, not to cut you off, but I remember the first time I I think found out about your music. I was sitting on the line at the Y to get in to play ball, and Chris Buetti, I don't know if you remember Chris Buetti. He was like, you know that kid? Because he knew I was into music. We were playing lacrosse together at the time, and I was like, I've seen him here. He's like, that's Johnny Drama. He raps, and I was like, what do you rap about? And he's like, bitches and being fly. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's kind of like of what you're saying. I was like, I didn't really ever see like any white, my like equation to white music, like white rappers was Mac Miller. And I was like, wow, he's swag rapping a little bit. And then I started listening and I got a little privy to it. But that's kind of like you're saying people didn't think it was like cool or you were an outcast to rap. I didn't think you were an outcast, but it was surprising to see someone who looked similar to me, like making that kind of music.
Yeah. And I think that for someone to say that that's what I was rapping about, that was taboo-ish in a sense where it was just like, you know, why are you rapping about that versus
how good you are
rapping about, like, you know, lyrically, you know, your struggle or whatever at that time. So, so what winded up happening at that point was after Hot New Hip Hop posted me as like the artist of the week, that's when, you know, Jay Stash, rest in peace, came into the picture, and made the song Gorillas, which, you know, a lot of people during that time period were following the Relax Records come up.
It was on your beat, right?
Was on my beat that I was dropping on YouTube. And I think what Jay wanted to do, rather than paying me for the beat, was offer to sign me to avoid paying me for the beat.
What did signing you mean? Did he give you money, or he just was like,
he gave me a contract.
Okay.
He gave me a 3-year contract, and again, you know, me and Mike sat there with a bottle of wine, signed the contract.
Did you read it over, or you just signed it?
Didn't read it. I don't know if I read it.
Was there percentages involved, or was it like?
I don't know. I think I just was.
You're what, 19 at the time?
I was like 19. He sent me the contract. It was a 3-year contract. I got it down to 2.
Yeah.
That's all I remember changing was, you know, let me get 2 years instead of 3. Because I was like, okay, in 2 years I'll be 21, and then maybe, you know, whatever. So signed it, and just kind of started working with Jay Stash as a assistant level type of guy on a music level, where I was coming into the city a lot to engineer him on GarageBand. The thing about GarageBand is that I took it everywhere I went. So I would make people who, you know, Jay Stash, you know, I say these guys, this guy Lucas Sabat, this guy Gabe, these are fashion guys, but they were at the studio at the time.
Gabe with the 3, G-A-B with 3, that Gabe.
Is that
guy?
what he is?
Yeah, he did like he had songs with Lil Peep. He's directed a lot of videos. He's the one that
he directs
made
videos.
Like the VHS
You know
camera
who I'm
shit
talking about?
popping. I know you're talking about.
As soon as he said Gabe with the 3,
Yeah.
the 3.
Okay, yeah,
I
him.
knew exactly what he meant.
Yeah. You know, I seen them, and like people would at the time be like, GarageBand was so foreign to everybody, and we would go to top of the line studios, the best studio you could think of, and I'm sitting there engineering them on, you know, Jay on GarageBand. And
while everyone else is using Logic, Pro Tools, all that stuff.
Yeah, and on top of that, I was like, yo, I'm not even an engineer.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, this is not even what I envisioned signing up for. Mm-hmm. What am I signing up for? So then, you know, eventually I dropped Bracken, and Bracken took off, and, you know, Jay Stash would post me on Twitter, and I think Twitter was a ginormous tool in my come up at the time. I don't feel like it's as much of a tool now. Twitter's
really hard. Like here, they tell us don't even bother with Twitter. Like the easiest thing or the best thing to do is TikTok, Instagram. It's very hard to grow on Twitter right now organically.
Yeah, and at that time, it was, you know, Twitter was huge. You post something on Twitter, you know, Jay would repost me on Twitter, and you know, it would get, you know, 500, 1,000 reposts.
Yeah. Was he reposting you on SoundCloud too?
And this is something, you know, me and Cosmo, you know, Cosmo knows about. We would shoot some, you know, nothing was ever on some big scale.
Yeah.
I was recording on GarageBand. Cosmo was shooting on whatever he was shooting on. We weren't doing anything crazy, expensive, excessive. We were just doing whatever we thought we should do at the time. And the power was Jay Stash would repost it.
Yeah.
Me and him would just shoot some random shit, and it would just take off.
And you were putting out music videos at this time?
We were posting out, That's My Ooh, Bracken, Way Up. Songs at that time were real, big moments for me. A lot of people my friend Nate, for example, which a lot of people know Nate. Nate's somebody that entered my life off of Way Up. That song came out, and there were people at the time that were going so crazy over the songs that they would want to pull up and meet me and not work for me in a sense, but look to help me
To be a part of what was going on.
To be a part of what was going on. So, at that time, something like reaching a crazy variety of different people seemed more possible.
Yeah.
Because you repost something on Twitter and it's going to reach a whole different person's Twitter feed. It's like, Twitter was a crazy thing at that time.
Yeah.
So Twitter is what I owe a lot of things to.
When did the Splashing song come?
Splashing came out around 2016. I remember, again, Cosmo sitting in my car playing that album, playing Splashing, playing, the song Wrong that we shot a video with at my house. And when I dropped Splashing the mixtape on, again, Dat Piff, that's when things really started to change and Splashing became really big and
Hit a million.
Hit a million. My first song to ever hit a million. Hitting a million at that time was hitting 100 million now.
Yeah. It meant something for sure.
It meant something. On SoundCloud. You hit a million on SoundCloud, you're a GOAT.
That SoundCloud era was so crazy, and it felt like, obviously there's a little bit of a revitalization now with these kids like Rich Amiri, Young Fazo, like Yeet, they kind of like SoundCloud 2.0. But back then it was like, SoundCloud was crazy because you could just find so much crazy music, and that's all I listened to back then. And the power of, someone reposting you and something going crazy, like it was really like the underground, the youth like Billboard chart was SoundCloud.
There was charts on SoundCloud that when I would drop, I would be top 10 in the charts on SoundCloud. And, that was even past Jay Stash even doing anything. That was just, I went through this phase of Jake Paul using like 5 of my songs in his vlogs.
I remember that.
Yeah, and like that's even another example of just like even Jake Paul, who's not even an artist.
He made a couple songs, but not great.
Does he have songs?
Yeah, you don't remember that? It's Everyday, Bro? Oh man, that was a whole era in the YouTube vlogger thing. Every YouTube vlogger made like a parody rap song, and he made one.
Okay.
It was trash, but like it got 100 million views because it was Jake Paul.
Yeah, so he at the time was still, averaging a couple million views, but he wasn't what he is now. And I want that kid to grab me another beer.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's one. Yeah, I would love one.
I'll take a Coors.
I think I'll take one too. Yeah.
Coors, yeah.
We'll keep that in. We need the beers.
Yeah.
Jake Paul was using my songs in his vlogs.
Yeah.
And that changed a lot of things for me too. And again, these were things and what I always try to stress to people, it's like all these things were not things that I said, that I woke up in the morning and said, this is what I'm aiming for. This is my plan.
Happened organically.
This is my goal. It just happened. And when he used Can't Talk Crazy, which is a song that I dropped in around 2017, when he used that in his vlog the day after I dropped on SoundCloud, I got like 20,000 plays in one day on SoundCloud, shot the music video, and that was when my town became... that's when I became a local legend in a sense in my town. And that's just the facts because,
Yeah, I remember seeing that video. I remember seeing you on the boat in the Great South Bay, and I was like, holy shit, this kid is from like, oh no. Yeah, do what you gotta do.
It's okay.
Thank you, bro.
Hey. Okay, you got in. How'd you get in?
Oh, is she here?
No. Okay, good. So you got in.
Good looks, Cosmo.
All right, so I'm still doing this, so I'm gonna get back to it. I'm glad you got in. Okay, I'll call you back. Okay, I gotta go.
Good looks, bro.
Okay, you can see it. Look, here we go.
Why can I see it? Oh, really? You have to embarrass me with that? All right.
We can't see you. Don't worry. You're not getting embarrassed.
Okay, bye, babe.
So I remember seeing that video. I remember seeing you on the boat in like the Great South, like on the fucking Great South Bay, like by Fire Island, shots of like the bridge in the background. I was like, holy shit, like this is where we grew up. And you know, not to gas you up too much, but the whole local legend thing, like for sure, like it gave you a little cachet in where we're from, and you know,
yeah, man,
made some noise for sure.
I was at that time, you know, every time I went out every night, I would be taking pictures with people I didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like that's when I was like, okay, shit's getting turned up. I was doing graduation parties. I was doing Sweet 16s. And the thing was that I remember, you know, I was always telling like my mom, you know, I'm just going to drop this, I'm going to drop this. And if this doesn't work, I'm going to stop. If this doesn't work, I'm going to stop. And what's crazy is how many times I thought about stopping, not knowing that in a year I was going to sign with Interscope.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, I was like set on quitting.
Really?
I was set on giving up many, many times as I am now still.
But even at that point, why though? Because you're getting this momentum, and I'm sure like, were you monetizing on like SoundCloud? You probably weren't making money off the streams, but you were making money off the performances.
No, because I wasn't worried about money. And I've never been worried about money because I think I started making music at the time where you didn't make music to make money.
And you also couldn't, it was hard to make money off the music.
It just wasn't even like, I wasn't even like thinking I could even make money. I didn't care about making money. Mm-hmm. I was always trying to convince somebody that I'm good at making music.
Yeah, I feel that.
Which again is where I'm still at.
Yeah.
And when I winded up getting signed to Interscope and, you know, they told me, okay, you know, this is what you're going to be signed for and this and that. I remember not even being, you know, I wasn't crazy about the money aspect of it. I was more saying I made it.
Yeah.
You know, I made it. Obviously to find out that wasn't the case, but
we'll get into that.
You know, there was many times where, and you know, this like I said, like I always say, I feel like I have a lot of knowledge to pass on to people. I, you know, wanted to quit many times, and then, you know, a couple months later, I got signed by the biggest music label in the world. So
I want to talk about that. So Splashing takes off 2017. You signed when? 2018, probably 2019.
2018.
And it was something like you had a lawyer who introduced you to somebody at Interscope, right? Like how did the conversation go from you met somebody who then brought you to the label? And what did you talk to other labels?
In 2017, I was in 2017 I met my lawyer Adam Zia, who was introduced to me because I had a Universal Publishing deal on the table for like 50 grand.
Okay.
By this guy named Sterling. Shout out to Sterling, who still to this. I saw him at a party not too long ago in LA and was showing me a lot of love, and he actually has grown to be a big deal. At the time, I think he was just, you know, I don't know what he was doing. He offered me this publishing deal, and at the meeting at Tao in the city here, you know, I took the train. Another thing too that I want to stress is like every time, like I've had a lot of meetings with labels, you know, I would take the train, I would take the flight, you know, all these things by myself. I would do all these things, and I was just showing up by myself because at that time I didn't really have my friends behind me in the sense of, you know, willing to commit their time to helping me
from like a business perspective.
Yeah, from a business perspective. So everything that I did, I was always by myself, and I was never getting some other opinion on anything or whatever.
Do you think now that was a mistake? Maybe like you should have been having other eyes and having other people come in.
No, because like now, you know, I have Jason, I have Saj, I have Cosmo's always been with me, who are making opinions that I can respect because it's coming from the right place versus my high school buddy that has no skin in the game at all and doesn't have any knowledge and doesn't have me, Saj, you know, we all have the same goal. We all have the same interests. I feel like I've been put in a spot to where the people around me now are people that, you know, it's so team based where it's the opinion and the suggestions are valued.
Great.
Whereas back in the day, you know, yeah, somebody might tell me this and that, but like, you know, you don't do, you know, you're just going out on a Saturday and listening to music. You know, you don't fucking know anything.
Yeah, you're not breathing that.
And I don't want to take anything away from those people, but
yeah.
the goal wasn't to be it wasn't 5 of us sitting in the room with the same goal and we're gonna fucking put our blood, sweat, and tears into this for, you know, every day.
Yeah. So you're taking these meetings, and you said you had this $50,000 publishing deal on the table. What expand on that? Like what happened?
So I met my lawyer. I decided not to take that deal. I don't know why. Maybe I don't know why I didn't take it, but I formed a relationship with my lawyer. And then I kind of just kept grinding, dropping The Crew, Chanel Love. You know,
The Crew's my favorite song
yeah,
of yours.
Yeah,
of
man.
all time.
I mean, you know, classic song for me.
Bunch of
Kemba.
Rihannas with me, and we gonna go shit.
It's hard, man. I remember
Very hard.
coming out to that song when I had my own show. I came out to The Crew, and it was just, you know, just crazy, man.
Sick
And the
feeling.
thing was, like, again, Cosmo, you know, these guys that are with me, had I have had these guys with me at that time, I think I could have capitalized on these moments.
Mhm.
The problem was there wasn't a Sads, there wasn't a Jason, there wasn't these people to suggest a move to make. It was just like, yo, this is crazy, man, you know? And again, I'm not taking anything away from it, but
They were along for the ride more than trying to amplify.
certain,
You know, what was
yeah,
going on.
and not because
They had ill will.
because they weren't music people.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that there were certain situations where I wish I would have kind of took it in a different direction at that time. But ultimately I got to where I wanted to be.
Yeah. How did Adam is the lawyer?
Yeah,
How
so-
did he bring you to Interscope?
So Adam, I was in Boston one day with Mike, and my friend from Boston, his name is TJ, a fan of my music. See, I always had these things where like he was a fan of my music, and he would, you know, he just hit me up one day and he was like, "Yo, I fuck with you. You should pull up." And I just by myself drove to Boston, and you know, went to like his crib, and there's just like 10 people that are a fan of mine, and we're just like smoking hookah, and I'm just like in some, you know, the middle of nowhere smoking hookah, smoking blunts, listening to like my music in Boston, and I'm just like, you know, fuck
Made
it.
it.
I made it. I'm fucking smoking hookah.
I'm the hookah guy.
I'm smoking hookah. I don't care. It's a fucking, you know, I was just doing whatever. And me and him built a rapport. So I would go out there every now and then because I like taking the ferry out to Boston. And I like smoking weed at the time. So I would go to his crib and you know, me and him would sit in his like little back room and smoke weed together or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's it. And just talk.
Yep.
And I brought Mike along one time. And I wound up getting a text the first time I brought Mike out there.
Yo, also something crazy's going on.
Yeah, what's happening?
Good.
What was it?
I don't know.
Someone probably got shot. It's New York, baby.
I don't know.
Screaming?
Cash bail has been abolished.
It sounded like a group of people.
Vote for your governors in these upcoming elections. So you're out in Boston. You
So I'm
get a
out in
text.
Boston, sitting with Mike, and my lawyer Adam at the time texted me and goes, "Yo, the executive of Interscope wants to have a meeting with you." I said, "Great." He's like, I was like, "Let's do it." He's like, "Okay, I'll set it up." About an hour later, I had 2 tickets to LA for me and Mike to go meet with Joey, is his name, Joey Manda, who was the president of Interscope at the time. And a week after that, we flew out there. We met with Joey. He put me in a hotel called the Viceroy, which is right on the beach in Santa Monica. You know, the nicest place I've ever stayed in. They gave me a Benz for the weekend.
Damn.
They
What are you, 22 at this time? 21, 22?
I'm 23 at this time. I get off the airport. I get right off the plane into a Benz that they had waiting there for me.
Like an Alabama football recruit.
Literally.
Yeah, it was like
Give you the car, give you a double bag full of cash.
it was like on some recruiting type of shit.
Yeah.
It was like a tryout type of thing.
Yeah.
And we had the meeting, and we sat and we talked. Me and Mike flew back home.
Did you play them records? Did you talk?
Well, actually, what happened was, I was playing songs, and we really didn't talk about any music, but I started talking about like my past and like a whole bunch of things, which there's so many things to dive deep into that it's just too much. But I started mentioning, hey, I know this guy, and I think he appreciated the fact that I'm a homebody.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know a lot of people. About 2 weeks after that, he flew me back out to be in a 2-week studio session where I was in a studio session from 8 o'clock at night to 3 in the morning for about 10 days straight. Again, put me in a very nice hotel right on the water. I flew out there, not thinking that this is a tryout moment.
So no paperwork has been signed. This is just.
I'm just out there. I'm chilling. I'm running up the room service.
As you should.
Every day I'm just getting chicken finger fries. Me and my guy Nate, who was with me the whole time, we're just, getting mimosas. We're getting fucked up. We're getting room service. We're doing my laundry. About day 7, the room bill comes and they're like, hey, you owe like $2,000 or something.
Oh, fuck.
And I'm like, no problem. And the lady at the label hit me and was like, just to let you know, we're not paying for this.
Oh, no.
And I was like, fuck.
What's up, Tico? Yeah, you can grab it.
She's like, we're not paying for this. And I'm like, oh man. And I start tripping because I think I had like $100 or something.
Yeah.
So I start hitting up all these Long Island guys saying, yo, I'll do the feature for the low, whatever. And I racked up the money to pay for it, just off of doing features at that time. So at that time, Lil Tjay was on the come up, and it was like a situation of what Joey signing either me or Lil Tjay.
Shit, really?
And this is coming from the engineer, so I don't know if this is facts, but he was like, Lil Tjay's been, doing the same thing you're doing right now.
And he didn't rack up a $2,000 bill.
He probably racked up higher than that.
All right, good.
He was definitely
Probably
on the
setting smoke alarms off.
Yeah, I think he was. I think he was on the floor above me. Joey went with me, and winded up signing me off of that.
What songs did you make at that time that
I didn't make any songs. I made about 20 songs during that 10-day studio session, and none of them ever came out.
So what you said, it was a tryout, but they weren't evaluating you off that music necessarily.
Well, I remember like midway through the week, Joey hit me and was like, you gotta go harder.
Yeah.
You gotta do better. And I was like, fuck, dude, I'm fucking making 10 songs a night.
Yeah.
I was smoking 10 cigarettes, making 10 songs.
Probably smoking more than 10.
So
Marlboro Reds? Are you smoking Marlboro Reds?
I don't even know.
You brought out a Marlboro Red.
I might have
today,
been smoking
died.
weed too. And I was just like,
what do you think made him sign you? Like off of
I made the
there?
last song I made was a song called Stranger.
Mm-hmm.
It was some pop song. Not that Stranger. It was some pop song that if I played it right now, this interview would be over. It was some random pop shit. And, I'm at the Starbucks the morning of my flight, and Diana, who was the Joey's assistant at the time, hit me and was like, Joey wants to schedule a meeting in New York the following week.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, cool. And I flew home, and then they gave me Drake and Future tickets at Madison Square Garden. And I'm sitting at the Drake and Future concert with my brother, and we were smoking a joint that we snuck in or whatever. And my lawyer Adam, who was at the concert because he represents Rich the Kid.
Oh, word.
And Rich the Kid was actually coming out during the performance for Drake, so he was there. And he texted me and said, "Yo, lay low for a second. Joey's about to make an offer. And I said, okay, great. Like, let's do it. And then like the next 2 days, I got a contract from Interscope.
I don't want to get into numbers, not podcast watching, but when you saw the amount, was it something that like shocked you, or were you like, nah, this is right?
It was something that I told my parents, and
their jaw dropped a little bit.
it was just like, it's crazy, man. It was crazy.
And then you obviously, because you had your lawyer, he looked it over. And then how long from when you got the offer are you signing the paperwork?
About 2 months.
2 months? What took 2 months to sign?
Because there was a lot of back and forth with the lawyer and, the Interscope team and my lawyer trying to get me certain things, which, I was never aware of. And to this day, I don't know what I signed.
You didn't read the contract?
I didn't read it too much. I was just like, oh, this is how much I'm getting? Okay, let's do it.
And what was don't want to ask about monetary amount, but like, was it years? Was it albums? Like, how did they break down how long you were under contract with them? Projects, essentially?
They signed me for, how it works is the money I got was for a project.
Yes.
And in order for me to get that money again, I would have to drop the album and they would have to come back to me and be like, yo, look, let's do another deal. The thing at the time was I signed a publishing deal as well.
Okay.
Which was a whole other ball game.
Yeah.
And that's, again, I have no information on how that went down.
That was what, Universal?
That was with Joey. Had a private publishing label or whatever. He had a publishing company, which I'm still with to this day. Mm-hmm. So,
and was it just like, did you even know what like publishing was at the time? Where publishing is like, obviously a record deal is they call it mechanical royalties. Publishing is the songwriting, is like, that's where when you get songs synced, that's where the big money is, and that's why it's incentivized for a label to have you with both, or someone to have you with both. Did you realize that, or are you just like, this is another bag that I can get, and it's just appearing?
Yeah, I saw it as this helps my relationship with Joey, and that's why.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
So after you sign, you start probably putting out music. When did you sign? 2018. You really start putting out music under the label 2019, right? What is Private, the first song you put out with the label?
I put out Private. I go on tour right away.
Is that Mike Stud? Or
I go on tour for Mike Stud.
And he wasn't the Mike Stud he was now. He was still doing like the frat
he's
rap
turned
type
up
shit.
now.
He's the white trash Drake. And I say that in the kindest way possible.
Yeah, he's turned up.
Yeah,
he's turned up. Went on tour with Mike Stud, did 8 shows. Just crazy.
What was that experience like? What was that experience like being signed? Like when you're at these shows, is it? I know you had a budget. You had Henny with you, who is my engineer, DJs my shows. I know he obviously was your DJ on tour.
All right, we have to cut. I have to pee.
Okay. Yeah, we're good. We're good.
All right, we're running.
We're running.
Where's my beer at?
All right. So at this time, you're signed, and 2019, they're obviously pushing you. You're on tour, and the first song you drop is Private with the label, correct?
Yes.
So how does that go? And did you record that song at home?
I recorded at home. What I started noticing was that Joey wanted more pop music, and I was trying to cater to that.
Yes.
I made Private, and at the time, see, the thing is like a lot of times when I make a song on GarageBand, like out the room, it kind of has a different vibe to it. Like Private originally could have sounded like a trap song, a trap vibe. If I bounce that out of GarageBand and play it right now and turn it up, it could have been like a bop.
Yeah.
Once it gets into the hands of the engineers and the mixers and everything, and the direction of what that song turned out to be, it started to make me realize that, okay, we're going in a pop direction here.
Yeah, I remember
we're going in a clean direction here.
Yeah, like the first interview when you came in 2019, I think it might have been maybe just after Private dropped, and you weren't adamant on saying you're not a rapper, but you're like, they have me under R&B and almost R&B pop, and that's what you're like. The label has me as R&B pop, and that's what I'm doing now. So that's kind of your music definitely started to change into a different lane. It was in this like Jeremih, like they're almost like pushing you, it seemed, to be like the white Jeremih, white Tory Lanez type thing. It seemed, from my perspective.
Yeah, I mean,
So but continue. Like, you know, you're getting pushed in like a pop direction a little bit.
Yeah, going in a pop direction. The next song I believe was "Your Love" with Tory Lanez.
According to my notes, correct.
Right? I
Yeah,
think that's it.
yeah.
So okay, I dropped Private. I had my birthday at Poppy's in LA. I have all my hometown friends come out to Poppy's. I'm in a G-Wagon. And it was a real surreal moment to me because, you know, I'm pulling up in a G-Wagon. I'm with like all my hometown friends. My song's about to drop at midnight. It's my birthday. You know, I'm at Poppy's. They're coming with the bottles and they're coming with happy birthday drama and everything. But something was like, I was like off because I was like, you know, at the end of the day, I'm trying to make a little different type of music.
Yeah, you like that fucking.
I want to make a little more turn up type of shit.
Turn up shit.
And the real problem was that I picked up on it immediately because, you know, I'm not, you know,
Not a dummy.
I'm aware of, you know, what's going on. So yeah, so dropped it, whatever, hung out in LA, went on tour.
Song did well. Did a lot. Did, you know?
Song did good.
Video did good. It was like a legit professional treatment. Like it was you know, very top tier.
Shot it in Long Island.
Yes, in Bayshore. Yeah.
Made the whole label come out to Long Island to shoot it. Went on tour. Dropped Your Love at the end of the Mike Stud tour.
Yep.
When I dropped Your Love with Tory Lanez and Lil Tjay, I was in Vancouver, and right when I woke up, I was driving out of Vancouver back into America. Number one, Instagram was down that day. And I remember this. Instagram was down. So obviously that's a major problem. So Instagram was down.
This is 2019. This is peak Instagram too.
Instagram wasn't working. It was down that day.
Yeah.
I get held up at the border for 6 hours. I have a show in Portland that night. I get held up at the border for 6 hours. Instagram is broken. This is when I drop a song with Tory Lanez and Lil Tjay.
Yeah.
So everything's fucked up. I'm sitting at the goddamn border with Henny. Shout out to Henny. My cousin Trevor. We're sitting there for 6 hours. It's raining. We're off the bus. It's a mess. Wind up letting us go. It's like 6 o'clock at night. I pick up Nate from some hillbilly motel because he couldn't come into Canada. So he's fucking hitchhiking basically. And, you know, I pick his ass up. I'm driving the bus because I don't trust Henny. And I don't trust my cousin Trevor. These
Love
guys,
Henny. I wouldn't trust him to drive a bus.
I'm not letting Henny drive the RV. Are you crazy? This guy's fucking, you know. So now I'm driving.
Two blunts in his mouth.
Yeah, driving. You know, I'm driving the damn RV.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm paying a guy to fucking drive the RV.
Yeah.
Now I'm fucking driving it.
And this is all coming out of your budget,
Yeah.
you know, the advance and on the back end.
Yeah,
probably.
and now I'm driving a goddamn RV.
Was that scary?
Yeah, it sucked because it's just like, it's just ginormous. And, you know, you're driving it on a highway and fucking, you know, Henny's...
You're not that fun to drive with in a Mazda, so
Henny's fucking sparking a blunt, and I'm just like, you know.
You're like, I'm in a fucking tank. Like, one wrong turn, we're taking everybody out.
Yeah. You know, and it's just... It was very stressful for me.
So that was this a moment that like made you think that everything
It made
was
me
going
realize,
wrong?
like, you know, this is unprofessional.
The talent should not be driving.
So yeah, so at this point, you know, I'm driving, I'm pissed. I pick up Nate coming home, you know, leaving Canada, we're going to Portland. And the fact that I was physically driving the bus was a sign to me that it was more up to me to establish the team around me.
Yeah.
To create the environment that I needed to be successful.
So you put out these songs, like, but this is the day you put out the song with Lil Tjay, Tory Lanez. How did that come about? I know that you were with Tory. You told me a story once. You were with Tory Lanez in Miami, and you got too high and had to leave or something like that. How did you meet Tory Lanez?
I met Tory Lanez from this guy Smurf, who is a Miami DJ. He was DJing Rick Ross's early mixtapes. He winded up bringing me to Zoe Dollars.
I remember Zoe Dollars.
Yep, who's a Miami gatekeeper.
Yeah.
And brought me down to Miami to meet with Zoe Dollars. That day we went to a Bad Baby concert.
Really? She was out. She was
Popping at that time. And
Gucci flip flops.
Gucci flip flops. We're at the backstage in the Bad Baby concert, and I'm sitting there with Smurf and this guy E Money, who's a big guy too, big DJ down there too. And the Food God was backstage with us.
Oh shit.
You know who that is?
Yes, Kim Kardashian's like best friend.
Yeah.
That guy. Yeah, I know.
So he's chilling with us, and a girl rapper too. I don't remember who it was at the time. And Bad Baby. And then after the show, Smurf and DJ E Money took me to Tory Lanez' condo in Miami.
Is it the same condo he was doing quarantine radio from?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
He's always has the same house from my understanding. He has a penthouse in Miami. And we went there and I walked, I got off the elevator and he's got the top floor. And as I'm getting off the elevator, he's walking out with like his French bulldog or whatever. And we wind up going back downstairs and we go to the PF Chang's across the street, all of us. And I'm just sitting there, in like the waiting area of PF Chang's with Tory Lanez and his dog, waiting for him to get PF Chang's. And I'm just, sitting with him.
And he's on Interscope at the time too, so you're like label mates.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I wasn't on Interscope at the time. This was before Interscope.
Okay. All right.
And then we winded up walking back up to his place, and then he was showing me all of Love Me Now mixtape album. Like Drip.
Yeah.
He just dropped the song B.I.D. at that time.
Yep.
And he's showing me these songs, and I'm just like, yo, like this guy is crazy. And we were just like in this top floor condo and whatever. And he looked at me and he was like, and then DJ E Money at the time was like, yo, this kid's a rapper. Let's play some of his songs off of SoundCloud. And we were playing it. And that's when I started smoking weed and we're listening to the songs. And Tory looked at me and he was like, yo, man, you're gonna make it.
Yeah.
And I was like, thanks, whatever. And we just kept smoking, and I got to a point where I was too high and I had to
remove yourself from the situation.
Myself from the situation because I was gonna have a panic attack.
I feel you. I've had that many times. So then, did you record Your Love with him in the studio, or you sent that back and forth?
No, in my room, GarageBand.
And then you sent it to him, and because you had that prior, relationship he made before,
Joey at one point in the office, Joey played me Lil Tjay on it.
Mm-hmm.
We were gonna get A Boogie on it originally. He was like, you want to get A Boogie on it? Because Lil Tjay was on it, and I was like, it's okay. I was like, all right, we can get Lil Tjay on it. But at the time, Lil Tjay wasn't as big, so I was like, whatever. We should get A Boogie on it. And then he wound up sending it to me out of nowhere with Tory on it, and I was like, perfect.
Yeah, fire.
Even with Jeremih, Joey just hit me up on like Christmas Eve, sent me the Jeremih song, and was like, yo, Merry Christmas. And it was just Jeremih on All That, which winded up being my most successful song of all time at the time. So, Joey was always
making moves for you,
making those big, powerful moves, those executive moves. But it was all out of relationships with Joey.
So when these songs are coming out, when they're powered by the label, and this is not to discredit the song or whatever, obviously the label has a huge machine behind it, and it can help get it playlisted, get it put on YouTube playlists, put YouTube ads behind it. These numbers are going crazy. Is that at all? Are you at all thinking like, whoa, like this? I'm having this moment, or you're like, all right, this is part of the rise, or when you see this 700 or 900,000 million view count, or did you think you had made it at that time?
Well, when I dropped All That, I had 1 million monthly listeners on Spotify.
Yeah.
At the time, my life was so busy in my personal life that I wasn't able to appreciate what was going on.
Yeah.
And that's, that was a big negative for me because my personal life was very messy.
Yeah.
And it caused me to not really realize what was going on
The
around me.
opportunity, yeah.
So I was so busy focused on my personal life that I couldn't enjoy or capitalize on what was actually going around on my music life.
So get into that a little bit deeper. So when you're saying you're not capitalizing, were you then, they want you to fly out to LA and you're like, no, I got to figure out. Like,
yeah, they wanted me to be in LA a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
I had stuff going on at home that I wanted to be home for. So even when I was on tour, opening for Somo, which was the second tour I went on, we did like 30 shows together, 30 different cities. Midway through it, I was like, yo, Joey, I want to just go home because I had shit going on at home. And to think back on it now, to be like, wow, I was trying to leave a tour where I was traveling the whole country.
Yeah.
So, I spent a lot of time dealing with personal things at the time. So that was a big issue for me.
And it was keeping you out of the moment. It was keeping you you weren't feeling like you were, the artist. You were more worried about what was going on at home, what was going on in the personal life, and
yeah, pretty much from the jump that I got signed.
So
that was,
yeah, and that's an issue. But your music is still like your singles that you're putting out, videos still doing numbers, still successful. You're still having
yeah,
some
I still
buzz.
feel like I was putting out good music
For sure. And I would agree with that. But at this point, I'm looking at like my notes I have. The songs you're dropping, and there's different videos that are a lot of them are getting pushed in this R&B wave. A lot of them are getting pushed in this pop wave. Like the Lonely song, it almost feels like a dance song. I believe if I'm I would say Lonely is almost like a dance song, right? Would you consider not dance, but it's like it kind of has an 80s vibe. Was that something that you wanted to do, or you're going in the direction of the label? And do you think that played a part in your unhappiness a little bit?
Yeah, I was, like I said, I was catering to what I felt like they wanted from me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like I wasn't presenting more songs that I felt like were more up my lane.
Yeah.
And again, like what I mentioned earlier,
That song, that wasn't shit on that song. That song is fire. Still did numbers. Videos crazy. I just felt like when I was listening to that, like revisiting your catalog today, I was like, when I listened to like the 2017, 2018 drama, it's very different than what that was.
Like I was having a conversation with Jason about this the other day. The music that I was dropping wasn't reaching like my core fan base, let's say, right? But
it was reaching.
It was reaching a different fan base.
Yeah.
It was reaching people that, maybe not what I was going for. Songs like Your Love, all that. It's reaching a different fan base.
Almost like a playlist fan base.
But that fan base was listen, if it's going to reach 6 million people that are over here, that's fine.
100%.
That's fine with me.
Yeah.
If Your Love's going to tap into some other fan base that I'm not going for, but millions of people enjoy it, fine.
Yeah.
I wasn't sitting there thinking, I want to tap into to this demographic or whatever. I was just like, okay, I'm gaining a lot of new fans. I'm reaching a different demographic. So whatever. It didn't matter to me that I wasn't reaching the core fan base that I originally grew up on reaching when I was originally dropping music. Yeah. Now I'm more back into trying to tap into that, but also trying to tap into the new fan base that I created off of, the whole label music. I was being advised, again, what I was about to say, I did not have people in my corner suggesting anything.
You were just going off the gut.
There was not one person in my life giving me advice on what to do.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, everything was based on emotion. As I've grown and learned, business to a certain extent, you can't make an emotional decision because that's when you're fucked.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's all I ever did with the label. I was making emotional decisions, not business decisions, not calculated decisions.
Did you ever have a formal manager? Not really, right? Like
No.
Once you're with the label, no.
No.
It was just Joey and the
That's right.
Adam.
My
the
emotions
were your manager.
were expressed to Joey.
Yes. And what was his feedback to you when you were telling him, I don't?
Well, you can't go to the boss and say, "Hey, I'm not happy."
And what would he say when you said you're not happy?
Well, I don't say that.
Okay, so what would you say to him?
I'm happy.
So do you think that was a mistake then? Maybe not giving? Because you told me you were pushing back. So who are you pushing back then to?
I'm pushing back towards the team.
So this is the marketing team, the A&Rs, the people they're putting around you that are not Joey.
Yeah, and it's not because they were doing anything wrong. It's just because I felt like things weren't working in the way that I wanted them to work in. And I was pushing back on the fact that I wanted things to go a certain way, but at the same time, I was giving into this other direction that they were putting me onto. So it's like, to them, I just pulled the curtain down on the last second and been like, yo, I'm not happy with this.
Yeah.
But the whole ride, I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
So they were blindsided by the fact that I was feeling this way. I was communicating this with people around me, but who cares about that? Because the people around me were just like, dude, we just got a $5,000 to go pick out an outfit for the music video. Like, who cares? Yeah. You know, it wasn't like, yo, the vision's not there.
And then are you seeing a change in how, they're communicating with you? Are they picking up your phone calls less? Or is there less of a concerted effort to make sure you're good or just even tap in with you?
No, everything was great. And then I get a call from my lawyer, and he was just like, yo, Joey wants to cut ties with Interscope. And that was it.
So
I didn't even speak with Joey about the fact about being dropped. He just advised my lawyer that this is what he wants to do, which actually did me a favor by doing that, because Joey, had I have had a bad relationship with Joey, Joey could have just let me sit and shelved me, and let the contract ride out. He did me a favor by dropping me, because
so Joey cut ties with Interscope, or you and Joey cut ties?
He cut ties with me and Interscope.
Okay.
And again, it's a favor he did for me.
Yes.
And I want to really stress the fact that he did me a favor by doing that, because the fact that he dropped me from Interscope gives me an opportunity to go to I'm independent now.
Yeah.
So he could have just said, listen, we have a contract, we have a signed deal. I'm just going to kind of push you over to the side, and, if things don't work out, we're not going to give you any attention. We're not going to answer your calls. You want to drop a song,
not going to clear.
Too
no,
bad.
You can't. Yeah, exactly. So he gave you your independence. When this happens, are you feeling down on yourself, or are you feeling like, all right, I time to dig in harder and just do it myself, like pick myself up in the bootstraps?
Yeah, I felt upset because I felt like I spent my whole life getting to that moment, and my head wasn't there, my head wasn't clear, and it resulted in me being dropped from the label. But, the positives from it were, it was a big wake-up call for me to understand my priorities and to realize that I need to be a lot more clearer on the way I want things to be. And I also need to focus on myself rather than satisfying people around me, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a family, whether it's a friendship, because I was too concerned about, again, my relationships outside of music, and it took over me and removed my ability to make my own conscious decision on what is best, which is what got me there in the first place.
And with you, I think it's very clear that anybody who knows you as a person, or anybody that listens to your music, it wasn't like your music wasn't good or you stopped being a good artist. Because I just knowing where we come from, there's not a huge music scene in Long Island. Like, you talk about the local legend thing, I think you're probably one of, if not the more talented or most talented, like, artist that has come out of, like, our generation, out of our area. And obviously the sky is the limit still. And now you're in a position. I know you got moves that you're making. You got music coming with Sag, a song coming soon. So it'll be out by the time this drops. But a song coming Friday. You still have, like, this cachet and this ability to make songs that I think could reach the masses. And it's I think the second act for Drama is going to be very big, and I have a lot of faith in it. And I mean, I don't want you to reveal anything too big, but you have some moves, like you have some cards in the tuck that you can play right now, and you got to feel good about that.
Yeah, no? and I always have, and I think that the light at the end of the tunnel is I feel more in control about my direction more than I ever have, and I want to really give credit to the people around me that are able to steer me in the right direction constantly and give me the right opinions and give me the right advice, and I know that it's coming from a good place.
Yes.
So I'm able to put my trust into people around me to help me with the vision that I have. And I think that that's the difference maker now versus then. I'm not a one-man band anymore, and I don't think that should ever be the case.
Yeah.
So, I'm very excited about the things that I'm putting together, the music that I'm making. Again, we got a song coming out this week. It'll be out by the time, like you said, this drops. We got a lot of things on the way. And I think that the biggest plus with all of this is that I was able to circle back to what I originally was. And people like Cosmo in my life who were there from the jump and are now able to see the changes and the maturity and the experience to create the music now that has a lot of emotion in it and has a lot of what I'm really trying to be at this point is more of like of an OG in the sense of just like, listen, I've been out here, even though I haven't had success up here.
Dude, you signed a huge deal with a huge label, and you had songs that had millions of views. Like, don't sell yourself short. You definitely had success. You weren't Drake, but you did something that 99.9% of people never do.
Yeah, and it's like I want to be able to speak on all these things, and I want to be able to show people that it's not you don't make it when you sign a deal. You don't make it when these certain things happen. It's like at the end of the day, it's like you got to have a fan base, and you got to have the right people around you, and you got to have happiness. So
talk about the working relationship right now you got with Sag and Jason and stuff, and what you guys got coming down the pipeline. Like what is the collaborative process? Like maybe well, let's turn the mic over to Sag. Like what do you like about working with Drama, and what do you guys excel with when you're together?
I feel like the floor is always high with Drama. He's not settling for anything.
Yeah.
I feel like I could send him 10 beats. He might not like any of them, and that's he could speak on. I'm sending him good stuff, but he's not settling for bottom of the barrel. I feel like we have a good process going as far as recording. I'm always on his ass trying to get him to stay consistent with it, whether it's we don't have to always drop. We could stack songs. We're working towards an album. We've been for like a year now. I think short term we have a couple singles on the way. We have a video and a single dropping this week that I'm real excited for. And we're gonna keep stacking songs until we are ready to drop an album. I'm real excited about that though. I feel like a lot of songs that we have made in this year are more of album songs. A lot of beat cut songs. So I'm excited for everybody to eventually hear that if we do get to that point.
And the thing with Sag is like a lot of artists I feel like maybe can relate to or probably have a desire to have somebody like this in their life. Sag is in the studio with me all the time. Sag will pull up whenever. To have somebody like a Sag who will dedicate 100% of their time. I'll call Sag and I'll just be talking about whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you need somebody like that in your life. You need somebody to almost advise.
And he'll also tell you when he doesn't fuck with something.
Yeah, and he will.
Yeah, 100%.
And everybody around me will. Obviously, we try to limit that. I don't expect that to be the response.
No, of course.
But the thing is that.
But it's important to have someone who will give you their honest opinion.
You need somebody who's gonna be like, yo, I'm in the trenches with you. I'm going 100% too.
Yeah, and you touched on this before, but we're both working towards the same goal.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not just sitting here trying to have a good time with John while he's making his music and celebrating with him. We both have the same goal, and we're both working towards the same thing.
Yeah.
So John's success will equal my success. I'm not just a bystander leeching off of his success.
And then where does Jason come into play with all this?
Yeah, so Jason, Jason was somebody that knew about my music for a while now. Me and Jason first met unintentionally in Syracuse at a show that I did where I opened for 24 Hours. Yeah, Man in Tokyo was there. Shout out to to Sig Roy and all these Syracuse guys that actually made the experience a little bit better because his group of friends were I guess kind of aware of me at the time and gave me some sort of feeling of home when I was there because they showed me a lot of love. Jason actually has his own clothing brand. I'll let him speak on it.
Speak on that.
If that's what he wants to do. But he brought me to his shoot to present the clothing brand, and that's where we had a conversation. And again, similar to Saj in the sense of this is somebody who is a team player where it comes to somebody that helps me with things. And again, it's you need to go through all the things I've went through and all the things that everybody's gone through to understand, to be at this level of he's not a rapper. Saj isn't the rapper.
Yeah.
You need, people are playing certain positions and it allows me to play a position.
Yeah.
And he fits in very well because he's playing a position. I'm not hanging out with a bunch of rappers and I'm not hanging out with a bunch of people that are doing nothing.
Yeah.
Which is not something that, I want to do. So, if he wants to speak on.
Yeah, speak on what you got going on.
I mean, yeah, basically we met at the shoot. I've been a fan of yours for a minute or whatever. And we kind of hit it off, I guess, at the shoot. And then you were like, yo, we need to link and do this and that. As of right now, I'm kind of dressing him for everything that he does, for videos, pictures, kind of helping, I guess, creative direction for how to post and what to post, what not to post. Things like that, just giving my insight. Connecting him with people like other producers, photographers. I have a very good friend I work on my brand with who's...
And what's the name of the brand?
Currently, it's under construction. Right now, it's called Nero Rosso, but it's my first little collection I've dropped. I've had it for a while. That's actually how we got in touch.
Okay.
But me and my friend who's a celebrity photographer for like Sway Lee, he's worked with Drake. He's worked with guys in the NFL. He lives out in LA. Me and him are working on the name and like an official drop for 2023. I have a couple pieces I'm dropping, which are just kind of things I've had in the vault for a while. Yeah. I'm a product of the Fashion Institute of Technology. We're like designers like Calvin Klein, Eric Emanuel. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yeah, I've heard the name.
Sportswear designer. We all came out of that school. So basically that's what I'm working towards. I'm working as a stylist for him right now. And just like behind the scenes stuff, like he mentioned, just creative direction of how to post and things to do.
That's fine. It's very
He's
important.
also opening a city door for me.
Yeah.
To come out to the city and be able to experience the city life.
And just get your face. Like, I remember Yachty talking about how when he first graduated high school, the first thing he did was come out to New York, and he talked about face card a lot. Like, just there's people seeing his face and like the importance of that, like being out in shows and in the scene. I think that's important for someone to open the door like that. It's a good thing to have.
Yeah, man. It's nice to be, like I said, in the trenches with people who want to reach the same place and are doing it from a genuine... Jason doesn't need to do this for me.
Yeah.
Saj doesn't need to do this for me. These are guys that will be successful in their own paths. Cosmo doesn't need to shoot anything for me. And also shout out to Timmy who's sitting over there. Is he sleeping?
Nah, I think you're just looking in the catering dish.
Shout out to Timmy.
Any sliders.
Yeah, some cold ziti for us.
Some cold ziti.
Again, these are guys that just don't need to do this.
But they're doing it off the love, and they're doing it because they believe.
And they do it because they fuck with the music, and they have a lot of confidence in me. So I have a lot of respect for them for giving me the opportunity and giving me the time of day, to push me more and more. So something I never really had to this extent.
It's good. It's good to have people light a fire under you, and a lot of big things coming, including we got a show next week. This will be out probably two days before the show, but if you're seeing this and you're in the New York City area, come to Berlin Under the A. Drama's headlining. I'll be performing a little bit before him, get the crowd warmed up for him, but small venue, but we're going to pack it the fuck out, and it's going to be a good time. So if you're in New York City this week, November 3rd, make sure you come the fuck out. It's a free show.
Yes,
and
sir.
Drama's gonna tear it the fuck down. I'm excited to see you perform. I've never seen you perform, but excited to share the stage with you. And what can we expect from that? What can we expect from your performance?
I'm gonna play a lot of new shit, and
Cool.
also, like I said, the thing about performing for me is just that, I get very hammered before.
A lot of Coronas, a lot of cigarettes.
The thing about performing for me is that it allows me to hear, my music in a new era, in in a new situation, which I think is the most exciting thing for me. But I try to definitely turn up, and I try to leave there with new fans and people that appreciate what we got going on. So I appreciate you for giving me the opportunity for this interview and also for the show. Shout out to Alex.
Yeah, shout out Alex. Help the Bear Records.
So it's always a good time when I'm able to get on the stage. It reminds me. That's kind of our payoff to doing this. It's like,
Sure.
that's our playoffs in a sense of, you're on the stage, you have to perform.
Yeah, I never have more fun than when I'm on stage. I used to get super nervous for sports and shit, and like, oh,
it's our sport.
Yeah, but it's almost like when for performing, like once you get on stage, it's like a different feeling. You
That's right. It gives us that, like, you're walking up to the plate, you're
Bottom
called
of the
onto
ninth,
the field. Yeah.
full
So
count.
it's like it is the moment to have you
Show what you can do.
relive that sport mentality, that competitive mentality. It gives you that. So
Yeah.
that's why I appreciate performing, and thank you for giving me that opportunity.
Hey, thank you for coming out to the show. Thank you for performing. Like, you're a huge addition, and I'm really excited for it. Thank you for coming out here. Thank you for being vulnerable and talking about shit. I think this is people are gonna really fuck with this. I think it's you talked a lot about stuff that up and coming artists need to hear, that people in the game currently need to hear, and it's going to I think go a long way for someone who's trying to navigate this world, this media, music, whatever atmosphere. It goes a long way to have someone who's been doing it for a while, who's seen success, who's seen ups and downs, and is still pushing and has a lot to offer, and is going to.
Yeah, listen, man, still haven't hit the peak. So I always say, as much as I've been through in the downs and the ups, and I still always feel like there's a higher bar, and there's always a higher moment coming. We've never hit the peak. We've it's always up, and I think that's a blessing, because no matter what, no matter how bad things feel, or no matter how much pressure I feel to deliver, or I gotta get a hit, I gotta get this. I always have this feeling of it's right there, So, and again, that's thanks to the people around me and the work ethic. So,
let's go, man. I love that. Keep going up, and hopefully we'll see you guys. Check out the song. What's the song that's dropping?
the song "Runner Up" is dropping.
It'll be out by now. So go download Runner Up. Go watch the video.
An album on the way, again, a lot of big things on the way. So I appreciate everybody that's been down with me. Everybody that continues to support me and show love, people that have been with me for a long time, it means a lot. And you guys are the reason that I'm able to have the confidence and the desire to continue to keep making music. So thank you.
Thank you, guys. Wayne Jetski, Drama Relax, Almost Viral. We're out.
Yes, sir.